So I am and have been Rachel from Belvoir Lettings for 6 years. For 5 years of that, it has been specifically Belvoir Lettings. I'd never wanted to have anything to do with sales whatsoever, because one of the reasons I went into this was, having been made redundant, I had a small amount of money, and with a friend, we wanted to invest in property. And we went into estate agents, and we always felt like we were being offered the most horrible thing that had been in their back drawer forever as an investment. And so I thought, I want to do lettings, and specifically lettings, so that we can advise people and not get involved in that. However, over the past year, you've probably noticed that I've been saying Belvoir Sales and Lettings, and I'm now officially going to change my category within BNI. There are two reasons why I wanted to do sales. The first one was because we were on occasion finding that landlords wanted to sell up. And it was quite frustrating having to take a nice property and then pass it to somebody else to actually sell. It's like, financially, that wasn't what I wanted to do, particularly if they were investment properties and you're kind of tying up the whole tenancy and passing it to another agent. And then the second reason was that last year they brought in a tenant fee ban, and a lot of agents were really badly hit by that. I know a lot of people don't like tenant fees, but generally it accounted for between about 10% of an agent's income and up to sort of 35% of the income. And so I thought, right, we need to get into sales to be able to counter that. But now I do sales because I actually like it. It's really, really good fun. I get to look around a lot more houses, and a lot more houses that people actually really love because it's their home. So I find that great fun. And it's a very, very different dynamic in terms of your actual relationship with the people who are your clients. But why am I changing with BNI? Why didn't I say stay as lettings? And over the new year, I did a little review of things. My numbers are really, really bad, I'm sorry. But I did a review of things. Now, I've been in BNI off and on for the full 6 years that we've been in business. And BNI, on the letting side of things, now makes up for about 20% of my turnover, which is quite a chunk. So I thought, yes, I do need to renew. It's worth doing. On the sales side, BNI has been 100% of my turnover for last year. And that's probably because I haven't done any marketing or any advertising or anything else. They've just kind of fallen in my lap, which is absolutely fantastic. But I'm changing because sales from last year at BNI, so nothing related to previous landlords, etc. But last year, 95% of my BNI business was from sales. And I just kind of spoke to a few people, and I just figured sales is that much easier for people to actually refer on. If I was looking at renewing purely from a lettings point of view, that 5% would not have been enough to make me renew. So in November, obviously, I did renew and went ahead with it. And I'm super, super thrilled. Okay, so what is a good referral for me now that we're talking about sales? Well, I do like the bereaved, which is why I'm always wearing black. But every one of my sales from BNI has been a probate type sale. And I think actually I like miserable people, or miserable people like me, because when I started out in lettings as well, I was always approached by people who were having issues. They had damaged property, or they had arrears, and there'd be a sort of counselling thing that went along. It was never really how I'd seen myself at all. So the bereaved, probate solicitors, etc., always very good. Developers are people I'd really love to get in with more in future. I'd love to be sat there at some point with a miracle looking glamorous, Dave. I turned up this morning with my bobble hat on and everything on, and Dave made some rude comments. So I will at some point become glamorous and sit in one of these show homes and then show people around. So I'd love to get in with developers and do that sort of thing. But I'm also looking at Susan and Nick. So anyone who went to Jamie, Janet and Dave's training sometime before Christmas would have done the avatars thing. And so I had a good look at that. And Susan and Nick are my avatars of the people that I want to be doing business with in future. So I know you won't be able to read this, people. But in terms of their names, they are Susan and Nick. They are very standard middle people. They're probably in their 40s, maybe early 40s, late 30s. They have 2 children, probably a boy and a girl. And they have a cat who's called Sniffy for some reason. I don't know why. Somebody thought it was a cocaine habit, but I don't know. So anyway, 2 children and probably a cat. They live in Enfield town and Enfield Chase, so in the sort of nicer, leafier parts of Enfield. They're in a 3 or 4 bedroom house at the moment. That house is probably worth in the region of about £600,000 plus. And they're moving area for schools. They're moving out of London, probably to Hertfordshire, for good schools, because they've got a choice between a better school or sending their children private, and they don't love their kids that much. They are, in terms of their interests, they're probably interested in lots of family stuff, lots of kids activities. They do lots of things as a family. They probably holiday at least once a year in centre parks. They play golf. She goes to yoga. And they'll have 2 cars, one a sensible car and one a work car, probably slightly flash. And in terms of their economic situation, I'd say they're comfortable, with a capital C, being very comfortable. So these are the people that I want to meet. These are the sort of houses that I want to be going through and having a look at. Now, what can you say to them? How can you get me that introduction? So if they're already on the market, I think I've probably said before, although I forget the figure again, but it's something like 60, 64, 65% of people who sell their property actually do it through their second or subsequent agent. So if you know someone who's like Susan and Nick and they've already got their property on the market but it's not selling, you can say to them, well, you still haven't sold? And then you can point them towards the Belvoir Enfield saleability checklist. So I'm not asking you to just say, hey, look, I know an agent, but if I can send you this document and then you can send it on to them. And it basically points out 5 factors that people who are selling their property can look at and start tweaking to think, okay, how can I improve my chances of getting a sale and actually moving on? And they look at the sort of price, you know, how is your price now? How was it when you went onto the market? Was it a price you arrived at, or did the agent arrive at it? Are you both happy? Supply and demand, are 3-bedroom houses in Chase Avenue, are they particularly busy at the moment? Are people going for them or not? Your agent and you, do you get on? Do you talk to each other? Even if things are quiet, are you still having communication? Do you get feedback? Your advert, if you look at your advert online, would you want to go and see that property? Maybe, maybe not. And please look, it's amazing how many people don't actually look. And you see their pictures online and you think, really, you thought that was the best way you were going to sell your house? Bad idea. So make sure you have a look at the advert. And then presentation, does your house actually look like the advert? It's very easy on day one to present your property beautifully, but when you're getting slightly tired and jaded and you're 6 months on, your house probably doesn't look like that anymore. So that's if their house is already on the market. If they're just thinking about going onto the market, you could say to them, have you thought about the first impression that your house is creating? Or perhaps like me, you could be slightly ruder and say, do you think people are really going to come in and buy this? Something along those lines. Okay, so we also, again, I'm not asking you to say, I know a really great estate agent or anything like that. I would just say, if you could, point them towards our website, or I can send you this document, or even our Facebook page, where we're increasing the number of hints and tips and good advice bits that we have for people. So just put out this blog yesterday about creating first impressions that last. And key things that you will see in there are the sort of 7 things it looks at there. And the first one is the front door. Now, when you go to anyone's door, you walk up, you knock on the door, and you're standing there waiting for them. While you're waiting for them, you're sort of subconsciously taking in the effects of the front door. Is the paint peeling? Is the glasswork all looking a bit horrible and old? Or is it brass? Is it chrome? Etc., etc. How well looked after is this? Then you open the door, you or your agent, and people will look at you and think, are you selling the lifestyle that I'm looking for? Possibly not. If you turn up like Dave in your shorts, you possibly are selling something. Maybe the lifestyle of either. I don't know, I'm picking on you. But yeah, if you're turning up in nasty tracky bottoms and dodgy trainers, is that the lifestyle that you want to sell? You and your house are selling yourselves. The sniff test. Most people have shoes by their door and encourage you to take off your shoes. It's a very smelly area. Don't make it smelly. Put something nice there. And it goes for the rest of the house. Teenage boys' bedrooms. No. What's in the closet? People are nosy. I will always do it when I go around. You look in cupboards. You don't want to be knocked out by something falling out, and you don't want it to look like everything's crammed in there. So make it look spacious. Put things in the loft if you can. Cleaning. You can never be too clean in a house. Make it look nice. Make it look clean, but don't smell of bleach. The cover. We do judge books by covers. You shouldn't, but you do, and you do the same with a house. So you walk up to a house, there's all the talk of curb appeal. Have you got nice plants? Everything well maintained? No moss on the driveway, etc. Look at those bits, and then give them space. Let people enjoy your house. Don't go round in minute detail. Don't press that bell. telling them about things. So yes, if you could point them towards those things, that would be marvellous. That would be a great introduction. I'm not suggesting you say to people, Rachel is fabulous. Just get them to look at our stuff and see if they want to approach us themselves. I don't know if I have time for questions.
Okay, one or two.
One or two questions. Any questions? Jero?
Yeah, what is the biggest mistake people make when selling a property?
I would say the biggest mistake people make is generally with the price. People are really overly optimistic about the price that they can achieve. And they look at somebody else's house down the road and they think, oh, well, if that went for that, I must go for this amount more. We all get very sensitive about our properties, and we think they're worth generally more than the other person's because of what we've done to it. So I would always say, look at it with fresh eyes, get somebody else's opinion as well, because you have that sweet spot when you put your property onto the market to start with, and that is the best time to find people. And if your property is sitting around for ages, even if you eventually get down to the right price, you've wasted all that time beforehand, and people think that you were being greedy or that you were over optimistic, etc. So get it right at the very beginning. Is that okay? Yep.
Yeah, what's the website?
Oh, sorry. Okay, so we are belvoir.co.uk/Enfield.
What area do you cover?
So we cover specific, because Belvoir is a franchise, so we specifically cover EN1, EN2 and N21, but we can also go out obviously to EN3, we can go out to Cheshunt, we can go to Barnet. We sort of stop at the Winchmore Hill border going south, but we can also work with other Belvoirs in other areas. So if there are properties that people have in Tottenham or Hendon, etc., we can still help with that, and it would still be us taking the sale forward. We'd just be working with another Belvoir office.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rachel.